listen to quick words from Sheryl and Guth about volunteerism. And being from Tennessee, we are the Vols.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm happy to be here too. My name is Sheryl, and I have been a flight attendant with American Airlines for 39 years. I'm still active duty. Thank you. How many of you were flight attendants? Got a few hands in the room. How many of you were pilots? Married to a pilot? Yeah. Well, welcome to retirement, where we now get twice the husband for half the pay. Do you remember when we used to get the flagship news delivered to our home, right? And it would have marriages and births. I don't think we've had any births for a long time, but then it would always show retirement and in memoriam. There were sections for all of these. Does this sound horrible? It sounds like it's kind of reverberating with me. It's okay. I'll move over here a little. But I used to think as a new hire, when I would read that, I would see Captain Bill Mitchell, retired after 37 years. Captain Steve Emerson, retired after 29 years. Captain Bill somebody, retired after 26 years. And then it seemed like it was only about 6 months later that I'd read in memoriam, Captain Bill, he's gone. Captain Steve, he's gone. And I thought, what happens to these guys that they die so quickly after retirement? And I know what it is. We put them to work, right? They're having to do a real job for the first time. And I figured they're falling off roofs with chainsaws from, finally cutting down the limbs that we've been asking for the last 30 years. But either that, or you've got to remember, especially if you're new at this retirement, you have to feed them every 2 hours, okay? They're used to food coming in on a tray. And so I think we just forget to feed them, and that was what was happening. But I think we figured that out. But, some things about retirement are awfully good. The Bible says that a lot of people quote it wrong. They say, the love of money is the root of all evil. And that's not true. It's greed, and it's focusing on that money. But money is a good thing. After all, it's what keeps our children coming back to see us, right? Keeps them in touch with us a little bit more. One of the things that we love to say as an airline employee is it's a very unique job. It's one of the few jobs in the world where we have to say goodbye to our friends and loved ones and go home to our families. So, I am going to talk to you about volunteerism today. I was told that when you're being a speaker at a luncheon or anything else, that it's good to be entertaining or concise. And I figure I'm only going to speak to you about an hour and a half today. So that should work. I started volunteering, kind of without really thinking about it. But it is a subject near and dear to my heart. And probably some of you are already involved in a lot of things like this. And I have to tell you, it's intimidating to walk into a room with women that are so accomplished, and you have wisdom of the ages, but it is your wisdom that's going to serve you well in all things that you do in life. And I do believe that God has every one of us exactly where we're supposed to be at all times. I, raised my 2 children. And then my daughter got pregnant in college and didn't want to be a single mom, so she wanted to give the child up for adoption. And I just couldn't imagine not being able to love my first and only, at that time, grandchild. And so my husband and I, with a lot of prayer, decided that we would take over and raise this beautiful little girl. And then a year and a half later, my husband died suddenly of a stroke, leaving me to be a single mom with a toddler at 60. And I said, God, I trust you implicitly, but when I get to heaven, you've got a lot of explaining to do, okay? This is not what I thought I was signing up for. But again, I do believe that God has me right where he wants me to be, and I wouldn't trade that little girl for a million bags of gold. She's just delightful. So I say this to you, that sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone and do things that we didn't always intend to do. It wasn't our plan in life. But sometimes that's just the way it is. And we know that life changes quickly sometimes, be it life or death or just the different things that come our way, like retirement. I love to try new hair and makeup and fashion styles. And this morning, by the way, I decided to try a new makeup look. It's called Old and Tired. Is it working? But I'd gone to the hairdresser just a few weeks ago, and she accidentally cut off about, 6 inches of my hair. And I am dating someone now, and I came home and I saw him that evening, and he said, I was crying, I was so upset. We hate it when they botch hairstyles, don't we? And I'm just crying and crying, and he said, honey, what's wrong? And I said, she cut off 6 inches of my hair. And he said, it doesn't matter, in a couple of years it'll grow back. I'm the one that's gonna find a whole new girlfriend. Oh, goodness. So anyway, I'm gonna read a couple of things to you real quick, and I promise not to read everything, but just some of the benefits of volunteering. I read Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, it's one of the most beautiful compensations of life that no man can sincerely help another without helping himself. And I thought that was beautiful. And then Gandhi also wrote, conscientiously or unconsciously, every one of us does render some service or another. If we cultivate the habit of doing this service deliberately, our desire for service will steadily grow stronger and will make not only our own happiness, but that of the world at large. So, if you're not already in the habit of volunteering, I encourage you to find something that is of interest to you. You ladies have incredible strengths and attributes. I know you do. Use those things that you're already good at to get involved and to help others. Some of you may have great accounting skills. Believe it or not, I think it's AARP, who I'm not a big fan of, but they offer senior citizen tax help. So if this is something that is of interest to you, this is something that you can do. And I also want to say that there are short-term things that you can do to be a volunteer, and there are long-term. There are things that are just a once-a-year event, some things that you can do daily, weekly, monthly, that sort of thing. So don't immediately start going, oh no, I'm in retirement. I don't want to get involved in work again. But you really can find things that you can do at your own pace. I attend a very large church, and we have paid child care workers, but it's so large. Matter of fact, our preschool division takes up 3 floors of our church. And so, in addition to paid nursery worker in each room, they need a volunteer, because we need at least 2 people in every room just to keep the kids safe and us safe at the same time. Some of you are going, I have already raised my kids, and I don't want to go back and work in a church nursery. One Sunday a month would be all you would have to do in a lot of cases. And let's say you're really not a churchgoer. Great, go in there and free up somebody who is, that wants to be in there. It's fun to get to go back and hold babies and just to be around for a while. That's kind of what we like to do as grandparents, isn't it? Love the babies, send them home. So it's kind of the same thing. You can just go in and love on them for a little while and go on about your way. There is a really fun organization, Operation Christmas Child, and they're just getting started about this time of year, where you fill a shoebox with little trinkets and toys. You always throw in a pair of socks and gloves and toothbrushes and things like that, but also, a toy and something interesting to the children. And we pack these up. There's lots of different collection points, especially here in the Dallas area. A lot of the churches collect them. I know Hobby Lobby does, and some other places as well. It doesn't take long to figure out where these collection sites are, but they box them all up and then they send them to underprivileged children, usually in third world countries. And so it's a fun thing to do. Every time I drive through McDonald's and get that Happy Meal and that cheap little toy that my kid doesn't need, I throw it all in a big box or a pile somewhere. And then when it comes this time of year, I can start making my boxes. You can choose whether you're doing for a boy or a girl, and you mark it for the ages that are specific to your boxes. And then, okay, so that's one part, right? That's a good way to do something and to make use of your time and these little toys and things. But then there's the collection site. They need to get them and rubber band them all together, package them up and put them in these big containers. So there's lots of different ways that you can help. There are city shelters that always are doing coat drives. Maybe you can be the one to organize a coat drive in your neighborhood or with your community group. Canned food drives, things like that. This is kind of a heavy subject, but one of my best girlfriends in the world runs an child trafficking relief service. I don't know quite how to say it, but she helps these women and children that have been pulled out of the sex slave industry, and they rehab them to get them back into normal lives. And a lot of times we see, women on the streets, and we think that they're there by choice. And I can tell you, they're really not. And they can't just walk off the street and go back to being a normal life, sitting down at a ladies' luncheon like this. There are scars that have to be healed, and that's both internal and externally. But they need to learn skills like how to interview, how to fix their hair and makeup, what kind of clothing is appropriate to wear. There's all kinds of areas that you can help, especially where these little children are concerned, and they need money, of course. So lots of different ways that we can organize to help these people who are in great, great need. Talking about some happier things, I did make a few notes of things because I didn't want to forget. Here's one that near and dear to all of our hearts. How many of you guys are aware of the Penny Flight Committee? Anybody know about this? Okay, when your husband retired, maybe you had a Penny Flight celebration for him. Years ago, I think it was APA and the company that did this together. And then because of changes and things that went on in the company, it kind of fell through the cracks. And all of a sudden, these men and women were no longer getting their retirement flights and cakes and things that they used to do for them. Well, Family Awareness, as a department through APA, has started this program back up again, and it's called the Penny Flight. It is strictly all volunteers. So let's say a captain comes in and he says, next week I'm going to Frankfurt, it's going to be my very last trip. I'd love to have a party and reception and a cake at the gate. My wife's going to be on the trip, and we'd like to make it memorable. That's great, but they will only get that if a volunteer has agreed to come out to that particular flight and date. And I will say this, the ones that come in from the later flights get better receptions than the one that come in from Hawaii at 5 in the morning. Just saying. But, it's a wonderful thing to do, and it gives you just a great sense of emotion to be a part of it all, to watch such a happy occasion. There's usually tears and a few words, and everybody's celebrating at the gate. And it doesn't really require a lot of your time. And if you want to talk to me later, I'll tell you how to get in touch with Greg Storm, who's the one who heads that up. If you're not based in a big major airport where we've got bases, then I know that's a little bit more difficult for you. But I can tell you it is a ton of fun. And it's about 2 hours of your time on any given day just to get out there and meet the flights and be a part of it all. You can take pictures and help serve the cake, things like that. Here's another one that I found that was very interesting. It's called Be My Eyes. And it's an app that you add to your phone. You can go down and just download it right now. It is for blind people. These people that don't have eyes, can't see, they use their camera on their cell phone. They make a phone call. It just randomly goes out to everyone who has signed up and agreed to be one of these volunteers. So you never know when your phone might ring. I went for almost a year before I finally got my first phone call. And it was a lady who was just trying to play a CD, and she couldn't remember and figure out which button to hit on her CD player. And she was so frustrated. She'd been trying forever to get this to go, and she said, I guess I can just wait till my husband comes home. And I said, no, I've got time, I can do this with you. And they use their cameras to kind of flash around, and I'm going, no, it's a little more to the left. No, the big one, on the other side of the dial, and helping her out and things like that. She was so excited. It took, maybe 5 minutes of my time. The next call that I got like that was a woman who just had her patio restained, and she couldn't find her marigolds. They had moved all her plants, she knew they needed water, and she just simply wanted to be able to find the marigolds. And so I helped her around her deck, not falling off or finding furniture with her shins, until we found the right potted plant that had the marigolds in it so she could water them. The last one that I got like that was a woman who simply wanted to know if her shoes matched her dress before she left the house that day and wanted to know that she looked okay. So what a great thing to do. Be my eyes, simple as it can be. So that one's a lot of fun. Definitely gives you a warm feeling. Of course, there's all kinds of shelters, both for humans and for pets. Some of them require weekly service. Some are happy if you just come by, hold the kitty cats while they clean the cages, bring clothing in to the women's shelters. A lot of these women, by the way, leave with a trash bag. They quickly gather whatever they can and throw it in a trash bag and run to flee from whatever abusive situation they're in. They could use our old suitcases. It's so embarrassing to have to go around carrying a trash bag. It's just the little things in life that maybe we're not thinking about. But I know you ladies are smart. You probably thought about 100 more that I haven't even mentioned yet today. There's also a lot of veterans causes. This is another one that's very near and dear to my heart. I've been very actively involved in Skyball, the American hosted, for a lot of years. When I first heard about Skyball, because at the time of year I thought it had something to do with fantasy football, and I couldn't figure it out, and I just would throw those email messages away until finally somebody said, no, it's a veterans thing, it's really cool. And so I got involved in that. One thing that I haven't mentioned is that I have my own dancing entertainment company. We have about 18 different members. We all sing, dance, act, and play at least one musical instrument. And we get together and put on USO type shows, primarily for veterans and veterans type events. We don't charge anything. We're just all older ladies that are hams and don't know when to quit. So we just keep on doing it, just keep on singing and dancing, but we have a ball. So maybe these are areas that you've got talents, maybe not, but you know what your talents are and what your strengths are. And again, I say that I do believe that God puts every single one of us where He intends us to be when He needs us, because He does not call the equipped, but He equips the called. So trust me when I say, if you don't already know the skills, you'll learn them fast. Just real quickly, I'm going to mention a couple more. There's always tutors needed for schools. You can go in and read to the pre-K students. They love it when you do that. Maybe some of you have skills with social medias, of course, soup kitchening, gardening clubs. Go and beautify your school. Go help out at a hospital or a daycare for a while. Some things you have to be approved for ahead of time, and some things they'll just kind of take you as you go. There's a group that I found in London that they simply call it Take a Senior to Lunch. And I thought, how cool is that? And I'm sure that they have a pool of people that sign up for this, but these are senior citizens that don't have family, probably are mostly homebound, and just one Sunday a month you go and take them to lunch. And I thought, what a cool program that is. That would be fun to do. Habitat for Humanity, you can build a house or just donate stuff. And again, if you don't have time to make this a daily or weekly obligation, find something that's just once a year. You know, your favorite charity gala is taking place. Help make the centerpieces. Help secure the donations, things like that. You can have garage sales, bake sales, all that sort of thing. You can host clothing drives in your neighborhood. So there's no shortage of places that need your time and talent. And so I hope that you will dig into your heart and think about where you can be used and how you can make some use of your extra hours that we have these days. Not that we do, we're always busy. And so I am going to keep it short. I'm going to end it there. I know that you ladies have thought of a lot of things along the way. I thank you for your attention. I'm very thrilled to be your auxiliary coordinator, by the way. Stepping into Linda Matthews' shoes was a big step. She's a wonderful lady, and I know that you miss her and will enjoy seeing her when she's around. I'm still new at this. I'm still learning, but I got the position because I was the only one stupid enough to put my hand up that day when they were looking for a volunteer. So this arm gets a lot of use. Some days I need to learn to just put it down. But I want to leave you with this. You know, we've talked about choices in life, and so here's a choice I have for you. If you could have the absolute love of your life, or a credit card with an unlimited spending and no need to ever pay it back, which would you choose? Visa or MasterCard? Thank you.
On the cruise. So y'all sign up for your rooms. We're going to have a ball. I'm telling you, I just came back from there. We're going to Great Islands. We just don't get to go to St. Croix, damn it. I don't know why. I don't either. Lots of the cruise lines. But we're looking forward to having everybody next year at our convention. And thank you for joining us today. Sorry.